before us at the time, we realized that the document on audit calculation that amounted to the royalty payments was not approved by Parliament. However, in 2023, the issue came up again, and during the 2023 review, our attention was drawn to the fact that there was an amendment to the original contract of 2013 to 2014. So we look at that amendment, and hence the reason why we have summoned the issue again, because it appears in the audit report of 2023. So it became an issue that requires the committee's attention all over again. Additionally, for the first time this year, the audit report captures secure reports, and the auditors were concerned by the fact that there are some transactions that they could not reconcile between secure reports and the immigration department. And those transactions has financial implication, and according to them, by their query and by their audit estimation, it has led to revenue losses to both the immigration department and the government of Sierra Leone. And for us at the PAC, we are guided by the law, and we don't operate outside the law because our powers are only limited and protected by the law. So it is in the interest of everybody to come, present the documentation that would either substantiate the fact that you're doing what is right, or B, validate the fact that the auditor's query were indeed correct, and that whatever we may have missed out on, we can recover through the public account. So without wasting time, I want to welcome you, and I want to say this session, we hope it's not going to be too long. So thank you for coming, and the head of secretariat, I think the auditors are wanting to introduce themselves. Nobody remember that. At least you have the last say. So auditors, introduce yourself and let's start the process.
Hello, Principal Auditor presented the Office of the Auditor General.
So we go. Let's start. Auditor, take us to what page? Give me the mic.
Page 193. Yeah. Royalty not paid to the government of Sierra Leone. According to section 1, sub 1.4 of the contract, HID and CID Limited is required to pay the government of Sierra Leone a royalty of 9% of sale of each e-passport. During the period under review, that is 2023, the government did not receive the royalty payment of $744,993 for 82,777 e-passports produced. This issue was also highlighted in the 2022 annual Auditor General's report. This will lead to a shortfall in government revenue. We recommended that NetPage should pay the outstanding royalty to the government for the period under review into the consolidated fund and submit evidence of payment to the ASSL. So the official report response we received say as of 31st December 2023, management did not receive any correspondence from NetPage as evidence of payment into the consolidated fund. And our conclusion was evidence was not submitted to the audit team to ascertain the outstanding royalty has been paid. Therefore, the issue remains unresolved.
So, let's see. Yeah, we have any why it should be 9%.
Yes, I am aware of that agreement, sir.
Have you done the payment?
No, I have not done the payment.
So you have any plan to pay?
Yes, sir. Sometime in 2022 or 2023, I have the document. We requested, because of external challenges, to not pay the payment because of several factors such as the exchange rate loss that we lose on a daily basis and during the COVID pandemic. So we requested to the Minister of Internal Affairs, and the Minister of Internal Affairs had approved that document and further sent it to the Minister of Finance, which was then approved by the Minister of Finance. We have the document also submitted to the bank. So hence why the document from Finance has stated that we should use the royalty payments to offset our tax or tax obligations. So hence why we have not made the payments. And I just want to mention this one more thing, and this is to the auditor. And I just want to ask, like legally, when you guys are auditing the ministry, if Parliament can call us to come and account for it, I want to suggest if it's legal next time when you guys are auditing to call us for us to provide certain documents because we have to be accountable for it under the law. Because, for example, sir, if the audit department goes to a certain ministry and they ask for certain documents that's not provided, because we as contractors have to be accountable for it. I think the audit, if it is legal, I'm not sure about the legality. If it is legal, I think Mr. Deputy Speaker, you should encourage the auditors to give us a call, the contractors, not in that particular situation, just in general, because there are certain documents. If, for example, the ministry does not submit a document that we have, and then the audit department basically will do the report based on the documents that are submitted by the ministry, the line ministry, but the contractor has to be accountable for it as well. So he should be asked the right question, and if he does not respond or respond adequately, then I think you guys can mention it in the report. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, you are right, sir, and
Thank you.
we've noted that. I think we have the right. We have section in the audit report, in the audit standard that required us to get to the third party. So it is, but this sometimes is because we are auditing the ministry, we give them 15 days to check for all these correspondences from whoever they've been dealing with. So we expected them to have done that during that 15 days, but from their response, we thought they've already contacted you and you don't have this document.
Of course, I
Are
understand.
there any missing correspondences?
Yes, I have a few documents I can submit, so yes, of course. I can submit it now. Three documents are submitted. Do I submit it to?
Yes,
Thank you. Three documents.
So this was the letter written by next week. Was written to the Minister of Internal Affairs, 28 April 2023. Permission to utilize monies paid as royalties to state corporation tax. You still have corporation tax liability. Let us deal with that before. These are the documents. Okay, so by NRA's calculation, because we also ask them so that we can have, we can establish the harmony between all your tax settlement and this one that was made by the auditors. So my NRA's record, you still owe completion tax of 200,000.
I'm not exactly sure of that. I'll have to speak to my tax consultant and get back to the committee. So,
And you still have outstanding tax payment for PAYE for 2022 October, 2022 November, 2022 December. So your total liability should now stand at 223,000. Yes. Should now stand at 223,000. These are the schedules.
thank you for that information, sir. And I'll speak to our tax consultant by today. We will reconcile with NRA and hopefully get back to the committee by next week. Excuse me, my summary.
It's okay.
That's right.
It's okay. So this is a letter written by NetPage to the Minister of Internal Affairs. So we refer to the above subject matter and hereby bring to your attention that we have made the unmentioned payment with respect to royalties for the printing and marketing of Sierra Leonean passports as indicated below. So you made payment in respect of 3rd June 2022, royalty payment of 3,035,321,250 euros. On the 12th of May, you made another payment of 2,249,828,000. Total 5,285,149,250 euros. So we want to bring to your attention further that the payment of royalty was never part of our original agreement, which was true. It was never part of our original agreement signed by the government of Sierra Leone and ratified by Parliament. Due to the current economic dynamics coupled with the continuous devaluation of the Sierra Leone yuan among other economic forces plaguing the current business environment, we want to state here that we will be unable to continue the payment of such royalty under the gentleman's understanding. At the time in the letter from Financial Secretary dated 25th August 2021. As you may be aware, this cost was not part of our financial model at the time of negotiating the ratified contract, the ratified agreement, and the depreciation of the loans on a daily basis currently has left us in a worsening financial position, and as such cannot even pay our overseas partner the full amount in dollar values per passport as contained in the original ratified agreement. Whereas the loans is converted into United States dollars, should we continue to make the royalty payment, we may stand the risk of operating at a negative cash flow, which we are currently faced with, and this will undermine our integrity with our present partner HID in our UK, and hence will put us out of business. On the basis of the above, and in order to cushion our current financial crisis, we are requesting that you allow us to utilize amounts already paid as royalty to offset our current corporate and other domestic taxes obligations with the National Revenue Authority, so as to ensure that our indebtedness with the authority is fully settled in order to improve on our compliance profile, which is a requisite of our partners should we want to continue to operate under their franchise. Kindly approve the waiver of all future and present royalties due till end of year 2023, and then we can revisit the same in January 2024 if the economic situation improves. Grateful for your positive response and support at all times while thanking you in anticipation. Signed, CEO Jamal Shalom. So this was the letter dated 28th. So there was a response from the permanent secretary to the financial secretary of the Ministry of Finance, permanent secretary of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. It's also dated the same day, 28th April 2023. How I wish you respond to Parliament as quick as this. We'll ask you for documents, you will spend the whole year, and when we remind you, you say, I have not seen it. Or you see this one the same day. He said, I write in reference to the above subject matter and to inform the Honorable Minister of Internal Affairs is in receipt of the letter dated 28th April 2023 from the Chief Executive Officer, Netpage Sierra Leone Limited, the entity contracted by government of Sierra Leone to print and market our national passport, requesting for permission to utilize money already paid as royalty in 2022 to offset corporation tax liability. The letter under reference further informs that the payment of royalty was not part of the original contract signed between the government of Sierra Leone and Netpage Sierra Leone for the printing and marketing of e-passports, which was subsequently ratified by the Parliament of the Republic of Sierra Leone. Rather, it was a gentleman's agreement. Gentleman's agreement is the contract. So the gentleman's understanding in the Ministry of Finance contained in the letter dated 25th August 2021 by the Financial Secretary. In compliance with the said gentleman's agreement, Netpage paid a total amount of 5,285,149,250 bills as royalty to government. Regrettably, owing to the prevailing economic dynamics characterized by the continuous devaluation of the Leone and other negative economic forces plaguing they are using the same language. Plaguing the business environment, Netpage has informed the ministry that it could no longer continue the payment of royalty as contained in the Financial Secretary's letter of 25th August 2021, while in the same vein continuing to honor its corporation tax obligation to the National Revenue Authority. Further to the foregoing, while passionately pleading for the intervention of the Honorable Minister, the representatives of Netpage revealed that since the start of the current world economic meltdown and the depreciation of the Leone on a daily basis, the entity has not been able to reach the break-even point, a situation that has made it extremely difficult to comply with the requisite financial obligation to their partners HID, Leone UK, and to meet the cost of operation and domestic tax obligations. This is a worrying situation as much as such indebtedness has the tendency to undermine the integrity of Netpage with the current partners. Hence, will possibly deprive the entity from operating under their franchise and squeeze them out of business. Considering the above, and in a bid to ensure that Netpage HID Limited continue to provide efficient and quality services, printing and marketing of our national passports, I am under instruction to forward Netpage request for permission to utilize amounts already paid to government as royalty in 2022 to offset current corporate and domestic tax obligations with the National Revenue Authority. For your consideration and approval, furthermore, Netpage HID Limited through the Ministry of Internal Affairs is requesting the cancellation of payment of royalty to government as contained in the Financial Secretary's letter of 25th August 2021. While looking forward to your kind cooperation of this request, please accept the assurance of my esteemed regards. Mohammed Sheikh Ukabu, Permanent Secretary. Thank you. Sorry, I will take time to go through all of them. Third letter. 1 month after, 29th of May, 2023, from the Ministry of Finance. Address to the Managing Director of NextPage. We have reviewed the correspondence reference MIA/01/41 of 28 April 2023. Addressed to the Financial Secretary by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Convey the request of NextPage Sierra Leone Limited to the Ministry. We particularly note that you are requesting for no royalty to be imposed on all current and future sales of e-passports, in line with the parliamentary ratified contract signed between your company and government, for which no royalty payment was part of the issues originally agreed in the contract. We also note that pursuant to Article 9.3 of the said contract, your company has no obligation for any royalty payment to government on the agreed sales of e-passports. Hence, by reason of NextPage Sierra Leone Limited tax exemption status under this article, we are of the opinion that any sale of e-passport by your company to the general public shall equally reflect the tax exemption. In view of the above, the Ministry of Finance would like to advise that all sales of e-passports by NextPage Sierra Leone Limited will be accorded tax exemption status as provided under their contract with government. By the same token, and to advise that NextPage Sierra Leone Limited has been authorized to utilize all royalty payments due in 2023 to offset at this tax law. So this end, we saw all of these documents in 2022. This year, we have our attention was drawn to an addendum of the contract. I was brought to Parliament, signed by Honorable Joseph B. Dauda, Jamed Sharop, who is EOICO Permanent Secretary at the time, is now at the Ministry of Health, and Nicholas Dahoud, witnessed me. So in that addendum, there is a clause in clause 9 that states that no amendment or variation of this agreement shall be effective unless it is in writing and signed by the parties or their authorized representatives. Which means the agreement that you sign with Pananoa becomes admissible and part of the contract. This agreement. By this clause that Parliament also ratifies. This was an amendment brought to Parliament. Have you seen this?
Why was it signed?
It was brought to Parliament dated the 11th February in the year of our Lord 2014.
Yes, I believe that.
So this was brought in line with the amendment for the fees, right? Because the fees in the original agreement was paid in dollar. But the new amendment now. So this amendment makes this contract admissible because it is indicated, signed, written by both parties, and they agreed to a schedule that should be admitted into this contract. So the auditors work in 2023 pursuant to the additional information that we got from them with regards to the amendment that we were not privy to in 2022 makes the amount charged of $744,993 United States dollars in respect of 82,777 e-passports printed and sold to Sierra Leoneans admissible and payable by NextPage. Immigration. What do you have? And I have given the schedule of your corporation tax, and I think we have one schedule, right? So I want to make copies of that schedule. We give Danny one copy, and we will use the other copy to write to NextPage formally for payment of the outstanding on completion and PAY, right? Very, very grateful. Thank you. Immigration. See how if you want to make a statement, you can make a statement. Wait, controller.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and let me also use this opportunity.
Don't we have water?
Okay. Let me also use this opportunity to thank the committee for taking up such a sensitive matter. And I think it's my best interest because he's taking over responsibility and realizing that there is still some sort of revenue outstanding or held by our contractees. It's something very important, and I want to know this committee's efforts towards that. And also, again, this is something that was brought to my attention by the status report that was submitted by the various department heads, that there was this kind of agreement as stated in that letter, but there was later waived off. And however, like you have said, next page owes the government of Sierra Leone and by extension the immigration department. So I want to join the committee to continue to deal with next page, see how they can honor their obligations to both the government of Sierra Leone and the Sierra Leone immigration department.
Do we need to play or do we need to make demand?
A demand.
So how about the 5 million that was reimbursed? Do you receive any reimbursement?
Thank you, sir. No, we did not receive any reimbursement, sir.
So Ministry of Internal Affairs, we invited them, where are they? Why is the Ministry of Internal Affairs? Come sir, why is it that you are the head of the table? You are the ministry. Why is it that you are sitting at the back? You want to sit at the back in the smoke session? You see me? I can see you. Yeah, good. So take the oath, subscribe the oath, and then you are allowed to talk. If you are neither of the above, don't worry.
Yeah, free thinker.
I, Alfred Lahai, do solemnly swear that the evidence I shall give before this committee shall be true, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Now tell us, why is it that you were asked to reimburse that page but you never reimbursed it? You deduct the money in the first place, you are not there.
Okay.
Sit, sir.
Okay. Well, I think the author, my predecessor, who wrote those letters, it's unfortunate I hadn't a copy.
Is he alive?
Yes, sir, he is.
The first question we ask now.
He is now in the Ministry of Higher and Technical Education.
Mama Shakabu.
Yes.
I'll check. So, do we have any specific account number into which these monies were paid? Is it a consolidated form?
No, I can't see.
It's a long time now.
Yes.
When it was deducted from next page, was it paid by you or was it deducted at cost? You see, I told you last time that you should ask for mic. Let us buy mic. Augustine, please, today let us buy mic.
Yes, sir. The amount of money was paid into the consolidated fund, sir.
Was it deducted at source when you were paying or did you pay?
No, I believe we paid, sir.
We paid.
Yes, I believe that net page paid. I'm not 100% sure because it's been a while. Yes, sir.
I would prefer you go and confirm. So that
We can do a
letter
letter.
to check.
We can do a letter, sir, and attach the relevant documents. I believe we do have it in file. I just because I'm on the oath, I don't want to confirm it 100%. But
No, I am
95%.
not saying you should confirm that. That is why I'm guiding you. And you should go back and confirm so that you don't give us presumptive statements. Give
Yes,
us
sir.
facts.
I can do a letter and attach the relevant documents if I have it, sir.
Very well. So we'll take it that if it was paid and it was not reimbursed, so it settles nearly. It was when Arsenal scored yesterday. Real Madrid. I saw the guy was so shameful. He equalized and they were like 3 goals in deficit and he was burning the joy. I was very embarrassed for Real Madrid. To take the ball to the center circle and urge them to cross. It was like, and they have this black monkey. That was his deadly. He's going to Real Madrid next season. I'm going to win this one for this year, but I'm going to Real Madrid. Let's go. You go to Manabayo and they call you to return and you're leaving. They are taking you away. It's not my prayer, I've seen it. It's a vision. I got married, they will not leave any player like the money they like that. They embarrassed them totally. One man recovering from injury changed the life of the whole team. After I was dying. You were dying, you were suffering, you were suffocated. And that boy came, that monkey. I was only calling it an English people, they call it monkey. A monkey came and he changed their future. Anyway, so if the money was paid and it was not reimbursed, we focus on the corporation tax and the royalties calculated. So this royalty calculated was for 2023 alone. Is it 2023 alone or accumulation of last year and this year? Do you have this alone? Go ahead, sir. You're on out. I'm sorry, anything. Anything is up now, take her.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Like Chief Kali pointed out, this is a welcome news that we have been hoping for. Based on the schedule that we have, the 8% amounted to 604,191.
No, it was staggered in the agreement and the sign.
Yes.
They said 2021, if you take 6%.
Yes, sir.
Per sale of e-passport, you have record for sale in 2021. In 2020, it should be 10%. In 2022, it was 8%. So you staggered the increment from 6 to 8 to 10, 2% increase year on year.
Yes.
So do you have records of the total number of passports printed and sold in 2021?
I have the figures here.
Do you have data?
Yes. We have data.
You have data?
Yes, we have data.
Names, passport number.
Yes, sir.
You should have that because if you are going to calculate, it means the money is way more than 774,000.
That's I just basically.
It will get up to 2 million.
Yeah, what
So here is what taking to go up to 3 million.
yeah, so based
If
on
we go at 3 million, we're not coming here. VAT, we're not coming here. We are going to look for you. 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 We have that.
Mr. Chairman, based on the audit report, we will get back to you with the data of all the passports printed for 2022 and 2023. But based on the audit report for 2022, total sum was 604,191, of which they paid 174,000.
I was 2022.
That was 2022, leaving an outstanding amount of 429,627.
So it should be 429,000 plus 774.
Yes, plus 774, giving us a total of 1,174,620 dollars. And United States dollars.
Dollar. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, sir. So yes, sir. Based on all the facts you have given us, I mean, it all makes sense to me, sir, but it doesn't change the fact that we had written and they had approved. The issue we have in this contract that I want
Who
to
wrote
mention,
and who approved?
the Minister of Finance approved and then paid.
Nobody by section 111, right, can grant tax waiver to anybody in this country except by and under the seal of parliament.
Yes, sir. I understand, sir.
That is why we have asked the Auditor General, pursuant to the powers in the Constitution, that it is only the President and Parliament that can ask them, consult with them to perform the special audit. They are performing the special audit, and I'm sure the report is almost ready on waivers alone. Let us know whom, and wherever they got such powers to grant waivers that is causing the economy of this country to bleed in such a way that monies are going out there without the approval of people's representatives. So that is a separate matter all by itself. We'll deal with that when we get to it. But please have seen your letters. I've gone through them. Yes, they were signed, they emanate from people. And what was waived? What was waived was not given. It's still in the account.
Yes, sir, but I will not argue or try to go back and forth
No, you can't.
with you because what you're saying, you know better the Constitution than me.
No, I don't.
My small legal mindset is the initial agreement that was ratified did not have the royalties. It was reviewed in 2021 and signed as you, or 2022, I'm not sure exactly. It was signed by the necessary parties, and the same parties had requested on that page to the ministry, which was approved by the ministry and signed by the ministry, requested to finance and approved by finance, that we were waived from the royalties. Hence why, yes, sir. So, as you rightly said, sir, the contract that was rectified in 2013 did not have the royalties. There was another contract signed in 2021 that mentioned a chain stagnated of royalties from year to year that was signed by all parties, and there was a request made in 2022 by us that was signed by us to the ministry, which was further signed and sent to the Minister of Finance, acknowledged what we said, which was approved by Finance. Yes, I'm not sure it is not a contract, obviously, but we did request from that page to the ministry, which was approved, signed by the ministry, sent to Finance, and further sent back to us. Hence why we have not been paying. I obviously, like I said earlier, I will not argue on the legalities of that, obviously, and we are a very law-abiding Sierra Leonean company, and we will abide by the law, sir. Hence why we requested, and because of the approval, hence why we did not pay. So based on the fact and what is found by the panel or yourself, sir, we will try to abide and find the best solution between the government of Sierra Leone and NetPage Limited, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, maybe Chair was very clear on our ruling, our initial return, the one we made in 2024 on the 2022 audit report. Indeed, our position was well communicated in the means that because the agreement, which of course was signed between yourself and government or the immigration department, then because it was never tabled and ratified by Parliament, that in itself was a constraint on Parliament as to how we could consider whatever content that was in that agreement to be subject to discussion. We considered the whole agreement was improper before us. That's why the ruling of the committee was very clear that for all we know, you are not bounded because the agreement in question was not informed. But by the clause which he referred to, which for sure I know that this was an agreement that was brought here and it was ratified because I'm aware I was in Parliament when the first agreement was brought here. The first one contained charges which was spent on Leone. But because the dollar the Leos was fluctuating, and it was brought so that we can tag the passport fee to the dollar equivalent. So that each time there is a variation or there is any volatility in the exchange rate, you don't have to come to parliament anymore. You just affect the equivalent, and that's why we don't have a fixed Leos charge on passport, as the dollar dictates. And in that same clause, which is now making you not to be coming to parliament, in that same agreement, it's the same agreement that has a clause 9, which says that each time you go into an agreement, for as long as it is signed up to, it doesn't need to come to parliament anymore. I'm sure you read that clear, which says no amendment or variation of this agreement shall be effective unless it is a writing and signed by the parties. In other words, we are given that power already. It's just like if you give our powers to the job, if we tell you fine, you don't need to come to us again. We give you those powers already. So the fact that in 2021 the two parties met and signed up an agreement, and which for sure it was in the spirit of clause 9 of this agreement. That's why, like you submitted, your company is a very reputable company, and it's not about you. It's about the company now, company personality of the company. It could be in your best interest to go back, yeah, and then you sit and see how you can make sure that you comply to what the auditors have actually identified for the best interest of your company and that of government, because it is difficult for one to just pay a blind eye on this, especially so when the clause is very much clear that it doesn't need to come to parliament. Yes, you said the nature one does not include fees or royalty fee, granted. But the fact that there is an ensuing agreement which the two parties agreed to, and there is an initial clause which identifies whatever you agreed to is binding, I'm sure that itself is law. So whatever letters that we are written, for as long as they are not informed or they are not sanctioned by Parliament, they have some shortfall as to challenging the validity of this clause.
Can I comment based on that, sir?
Okay, please.
Yes, sir. So, based on my small legal mind, after we had requested in 2022 and it had been approved, there should have been an agreement basically written for us to sign to supersede the one in 2021 we signed, as per the initial agreement in 2023. Because us, NetPage, we did request to the ministry, it was approved and further approved by finance, which is basically agreed by all parties, signed in the contract and stated in the initial agreement. So there should have been a contract signed between us and the ministry to remove what was agreed in 2021, which is not the case. We don't have that contract. But I'm assuming that, it was agreed by all parties, and we have letters to the effect, which I submitted. But I'm assuming that it was a fault on the Minister of Internal Affairs part and NetPage part by us not following up to do a further agreement. Well, I'll say a new contract note or new contract amendment, because it was agreed, if you understand what I'm saying.
See how you want to say something. Don't worry. Go find price for Mike. They can do my mic.
Thank you very much,
My
Mr.
mic, they're going to right part with the blind and now the time they use their Mac and PSC. Anybody want to know
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I want to join the Honorable and Chair to read this next page. So,
you are still pleading, you should not plead.
Well, the reason why I want to use plead, we are partners, so that's actually, I want to speak from that perspective. The position of the law is very clear, and I don't want us to turn this room into a courtroom or for interpretation of the agreement. Your contract is valid between 2013 to 2022 for 10 years. So which means in 2023 we are supposed to have a new agreement. So the clause 9 they refer to is saying that within the validity of that your contract, any amendment you, the two parties, agree to do is binding on you. You do not have to bring it to Parliament. It's still within the spirit of the 2013 contract that you signed. So the agreement you had in 2021 was still valid because it was between the two parties, NetPage and SLID. You agreed for those things. So it was binding. So irrespective of whether you bring it to Parliament or not, it does not change the spirit of the contract. So you are supposed to honor your obligation by paying those fees. So that's why they said when they came, they look at the audit report in 2022, they found out that they made error as Parliament. They are magnanimous enough, they have revisited their own decision and asked you to kindly honor your obligations. I think what we have to just take note, like you said, go back and try and engage the government of Sierra Leone as to how to proceed with addressing the outstanding amount, because I also want to use this opportunity to inform the committee that the contract itself under we have initiated a review process. Like I said, the 10 years have elapsed, so we are currently reviewing it. The review started last year, but they could not complete it, and so we just commenced a new process. So during this payment, we also even have to have a bearing on that exercise as well. So we have to try and address the outstanding issues before we even proceed into the new phase.
So we have two powers that we can utilize. A is the fact that when it comes to the amount mentioned in the audit report, it's a conversation that you can be included in, but it's a conversation that the PAC takes the lead on. Because now the reports in which the amount was detailed is the property of Parliament handed over to the Public Account Committee. So whatever conversation around the payment and we need the confirmation for the 2021 data to be added. So we have a holistic conversation around settlement of that. That is handle number one. Handle number two is pending the posture of next page. We may ask, we have not yet. We may ask that you have to put hold on everything until you settle the ability. We may. I do not think we are going to now. We may ask that you put hold on everything until we discuss and agree on the path to the ability to settle the ability. The issue because I cannot put hold on the passport except if you have the facility to put passport internally. You don't have it, so I cannot put hold on that. So that will continue. But the issue would, we may. I do not think we are going to continuously stress the fact that we may. But it all depends on your posture, your response to the settlement of your liability. And also let me state, before I give you the floor, that the letters that you have been referring to, they are A, not contract, B, not done in the spirit of the law, and C, provisions was not made for them in the amended contract of 2013, in the amendment of 11 February 2014, to be admissible as waivers. And even if we admit them now, they are not waiving the calculation in the contract drawn up by the two parties and signed up to. They were asking for a specific portion of an amount that was charged to your account to be waived. However, because of clause 9 in the amended contract of 2014 of 11 February, it makes the contract tenable and it is no longer a gentleman's agreement. Let us expunge that word. It is no longer a gentleman's agreement because the original contract says you don't need to come to us to make amendments as the two parties agreed within the time frame, the legal time frame of the ratification by Parliament. You can sit, you can discuss, you can put it in writing, you sign up to it, then it becomes legal. However, may I also say that let me guide against any further loss of revenue. May I also state that by this moment, today is 17th April 2025, no further agreement should be done between immigration and next page with regards review of anything that is detailed in the audit report until we have this issue settled to finality. So if by any reason you are thinking, okay, we'll go back and sit and sign another one, and that makes it admissible, that will not be admissible. I've made a pronouncement and I've put it to the committee. Honorable members, the question is that no further, the immigration department has been mandated to do no further amendments to the contract between the government of Sierra Leone, represented by Immigration and Internal Affairs Ministry, and next page, until the full liability so detailed by the auditor's report and the amendment in 2021 is settled. All those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So it's a resolution of the committee. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. I've heard all the information from the CIO and the honorable committee. I will take it to my management and my board, and we would like to urge the committee to not take any drastic step until we get back to the CIO, to the PSC committee, and then we can channel the way forward and find the best solution as for a win-win situation, sir.
So I give you 7 days to do that.
Can we request for 40 days, sir? Because
I give you 7 days minus the holidays, so you calculate 7 days. It's almost
close enough. Thank you very much.
Yes, Chair, there's also a very important provision I want to also refer the committee to. When you look at the addendum in question, in 2024, of course, I'm still referring to the last agreement. The then gentleman's agreement, which is now, yes, the now binding agreement, yes. You know, for 2024, we are supposed to determine the royalty percentage. Because for 2021 on to 2023, percentage for royalty to government was clearly defined. For 2021 it was 6%, 2020 it was 8%, for 2023 it was 10%, but for 2024 it was supposed to be determined between the contractor and the contractee for them to agree as to what the percentage should be. My question is, this is 2025. Did you arrive at any percentage in 2024 to be the government royalty?
Oh, you will get the letter by the time you come next.
Thank you, sir. We did not arrive at any percentage, and when the last time we were here, and the PhD instructed us to go back and have a meeting between us, and then agree as to what should be paid. It was made clear by the head of next page that since the committee had directed that switch to resolution, they have nothing to pay, but we did not arrive at any percentage because we are of the opinion that the percentage, since you have that 2% gradual increase for 2020, we should also have
like 12% now.
12%. So that was what the previous chief of immigration officer was talking about. So this implies that if we are looking at clause 9 now, that means we are going to do holistically at 2021, 2022, 2023, and what we agreed for 2024, and then like the honorable chair rightly pointed out, this 1,174,000 will definitely go up more than that.
And let me also state that, like I said in my opening, the resolution by the committee was informed by the document before us at the time, and even in the court of law. That is why you have appeal processes. If there are new evidences, there are new evidence adduced to the court with regards to the matter that the court has taken a decision on. The court can review a decision on the basis of the new evidence before it. So, the fulfillment of the Constitution what was before us while we were reviewing the 2023 audit report in 2024. That was the basis of our decision. But now that the auditors have brought additional information to us, to our attention, that yes, indeed, a new amendment was brought to Parliament, and we confirmed that with our library, confirmed that with our records, and that agreement was tabled by the minister and also ratified as an addendum to the original contract. And when an addendum is done, there is no certificate granted by Parliament because already they have issued a certificate with regards to the original contract. So the addendum was passed by Parliament, and that addendum is legal, and that addendum gives powers to the parties now therein to make any amendment to that contract within the time frame of the contract. So hence, a resolution cannot be a bar for the implementation of the revenues so agreed upon. And that is a decision of the committee. So we'll move to the next issue.
So, Chair, as a follow-up, sir, to the question I initially asked,
Yes, sir.
The fact that we cannot stop the production or the issuance of passports, that's something we cannot bear to. And next page continues to be the service provider. I want to submit that henceforth we consider the retention of the 12% or whatsoever, because as per the projection here, this is 2025 now. If you go by the way the project, the increases we have done, it's supposed to be like 14%. So so that they consider the deduction of 14% to be paid to government as royalty forthwith.
So who collects the passport revenue? Do you have an escrow account? It's a very important question.
We don't have an escrow account. The revenue generated from passports is wholly and solely collected by NetPage. They have their account section there. So when you go, they pay to their NetPage accountants, and then at the end of the day,
So you only keep records of passport issue?
yes,
Based on the forms you are selling?
yes. Basically, normally, at times you would sell 100 forms, for example.
Yeah, some
But some might, for mistakes, etc. Or if you have those, maybe you have others that will be rejected for technical reasons. But we keep two types of records, forms sold, and then we also would have to ask them for them to give us, because we don't even have access to the back end to know whether how many passports are being produced. So at the end of the day, we have to request for those information to be given. So since Chair has already said we put a hold on what we are doing, because that's what we are discussing to be included in this new the reviewed contract for us to have access. So we don't need to ask them. Whatever is being created, we will know per day or per month what is being created, etc. So
It's interesting how we enter into contracts. How can you enter into contracts and you don't have access to revenues that is generated from the contract? How do you calculate? Well, because the first contract that was brought to Parliament did not have royalty, and the amendment also did not have royalty, but mistakenly they admitted what was then deemed as gentleman's agreement as binding entities signed by the parties, and the entities in writing and signed by the parties. So it was only in 2021 that they thought that, we are losing. Now we should be collecting, we should request for royalties. And even the royalties they charge depends on the data that is provided to them by NetPage. So in that instance, it will be difficult either for us to be able to charge the 14% on the production now, because there is not an escrow account established where they can track and they have joint custody for. Because what I know, when Africa Link was with Leone, the money they were collecting from the inspection exercise that they do, there was an escrow account opened at Sierra Leone Commercial Bank, and that escrow account, the two parties, the government of Sierra Leone and Africa Link, are the joint signatories to the account. So whenever monies are collected and paid into the escrow account, for whatever period, whether it's for a week or for a month, the parties represented by the Ministry of Finance or the designated ministry for government and the managing director of African League will now prepare a schedule. They will go through the accounts, they will check against the containers inspected and scanned, and they will now make a check why African League's 40% or whatever percentage at the time will be transferred electronically to the account at EcoBank Sierra Leone, and government will retain theirs in the Leone Commercial Bank and transfer it to the Bank of Sierra Leone. That is how it should be. That is the ideal situation. The ideal situation is both parties should have access. It's like a dashboard. You should see what is happening, so that you can confirm what your 60% is and what your 40% is. If I don't know what you do, how can I calculate my percentage? Why do you think that people, when they collect their commission, they are thinking about the details of what their commission is being calculated on? Because they cannot know their commission without knowing what their commission is calculated on. When you want to rent a house, you see the agent, he will not live anywhere. He will stay there, he will be part of the agreement between you and the landlord. Because he knows his 10% is calculated on what you are going to pay. Yes, sir.
I think there's a point. In the case of.
You don't go answer this mic. What do you do?
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman. Unlike other contracts, in this case,
they can fix it. It's wireless. Why you can't be talk something like seminar? I don't go up promote yes. Wireless, you connect something.
Mr. Chairman, in this case, all the processing is done by immigration, except if the forms being given out by immigration are not numbered. They are not serial, because before the printing is done, up to the last stage, all the administrative, the processing goes to immigration. But if that is easy to know, the dashboard to know, okay, for the month of April, we processed a total of 2,000 forms. So we know what we expect to come. So even without watching the dashboard to know what is being printed, you know exactly what is. The only thing is, if there is no definite steps on who does what, then that is where you will not be able to know what they print. But if you have to go through NIE, you purchase the form, and the forms are being serially numbered, then you move to each department until you get to all the verifications being done at each stage. They have their own recording. But again, my fear is, except the fact that I've not been to immigration in the last 6 months, if they've been done in a very transparent format in which you do like an internet connected system where when it's approved from this stage, you see it too. But what I see is most time I see ledgers. People enter in ledgers. So I wonder how the CIO will know what is in progress, what has been processed, and what has been printed. Because it should be put in a complete system where you see from the stage somebody buy form 0001 BF form, they will know, okay, this is the form. This form is bought by Augustine. They say it's been processed from number 1, number 2. So even when somebody comes with a complaint that, oh, I have come with my passport for 6 months, it has not been printed. With a click, you'll be able to know where the form is. If you're being disqualified, you'll know this is why you're being disqualified. Then it will be easy for us to know what we get as a state from the printer. So else, if it's an empty system, that's where the problem is. So bulk of that actual work to determine what we get as a nation is in the hands of the department.
I take your point fully.
Even the passport. Even the passport, in addition to the administrative work that is being done on the passport, what is clear here is the net page work is just for the printing of the passport. The forms are issued by the immigration department. Even when the passports are printed, you collect them from the immigration department. So in other words, they have a means of verification to know how many passports that have been printed and issued. So I'm sure it's a fine line for them to be able to know what exactly have been printed, and then they can then do the projections in terms of revenue as to what they expect to get. My suggestion here is that we shouldn't leave a lacuna here. Much as we are putting a moratorium on the review for an extension of the contract, that will not take the fact that passports are still going to be issued. So in the meantime, for us to like alleviate the burden of government in the loss of revenue, let us have a window within this while. This could be also should be welcoming to even net page. Now that we have established that there is no longer the existence of a gentleman's agreement, we now have a technical agreement, which of course is still valid because sometimes they agree without any timeline. Whilst we are putting a moratorium on that, the fact that the issuance of passports will be ongoing, let them consider paying what belongs to government rather than waiting for auditors to come back in 2025 audit and then pick it up, whereas it becomes like a recurring issue. So it is for their own good, actually for them that are rendering the service on behalf of government.
Yeah, I want to say something.
Again, I just want to thank you for your brilliant contributions because as I sit here listening, I learned a lot from you, from AKK, your deputy, and your very self. Clearly, this is the ideal situation that we are all explaining. In fact, one thing that has come to my mind, we should maybe be talking about royalty payment to immigration. This should be an issue of sharing revenue because the service is actually provided by the immigration department and somebody is collecting fees for those services and not giving anything to government in return. And government is paying the staffs who are doing this work. Like the Honorable Ekiki said, from the sales of the passport forms to the processing right inside the printing room. The only way you have net page staff is in the printing room, but even that you have immigration staffs on the computers and everything. So all of these staffs within this value chain has been financed and funded by the government of Sierra Leone. But yet still the fees that generate comes from these services have been collected by NetPage, and then we say NetPage should give royalty payments to the immigration department. So for me, I do not even see as an issue of royalty payments. It's an issue of sharing revenues because it's a service we are providing jointly, and you are collecting all the funds without not giving me anything in return. So I think that is something I have actually learned from this. I just want to commend you for these contributions. Thank you very much.
I want to thank you, and I think you want to take the last contribution.
It's just a way of question. I know you are new in that department. Now you are housed in NetPay, isn't it?
I want to ask you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, please. You are housed in NetPay. Are they paying rent? Are you providing electricity for them, or they are providing electricity to run their system? So are they paying rent for the space they are occupying? So what about the other facilities that is available in the building? Had it been that they have their structure or another location that citizens will be going for snapshots, would that place be free as you are providing? These are just questions. And also, I want to bring to your attention that you have so many staff that you are not that are not accounted for under the immigration department. These are not your staffs. I'm calling them staffs because they are providing the service you are providing. They are selling these forms out there. They are preparing information sheet. They are photocopying these forms colored. They bring them, and if they are printed serially, it is something that you should take note of. Let us have forms printed serially, which I know it is, and let us have a tracking system of how many forms we produce or how many we sold, sell to potential customers.
Okay, now that you have established all of the facts, I think some you may have to let go. Others will focus on what we have because a man in hand is what's doing the motion. Let us not go in search of some more things that just complicate everything for us. What we have now, I think we can manage. For an angry man, whatever comes to your plate, you take. If it's fish, you take. If it's jewelry, you take. Whatever comes to the plate, if it's grasshopper, you take. But what we have now, I think, is elephant. And I think we can share that. So I want us to go the cutting on that. And next page can go now. We are moving to secure reports. For immigration, we are going to take a little longer because there are other issues outside this one. So we move to audit issue 4.40.2. But let me also restate the point as we release next page that Public Account Committee did not suspend the printing of passports. Because somebody will leave this room now and say, oh, we are going to suspend, or Public Account Committee has asked us to suspend the printing of the passport. No.
Absolutely not, sir.
The resolution that the committee took was to stop immigration from making any further amendments to the existing contract or proceed with the current review until we settle the issue of the liabilities of next page. Both corporation tax, PAYE, and the royalty calculation that was signed up to by the two parties and that has been proven to be admissible in the contract. That is it. So next page.
Thank you very much. I understand, sir. Thank you very much to everyone in the committee.
Auditor, take us to the next issue.
Yeah, the next issue is about revenue from issuance of e-visa by the security report not brought to account. We observed that revenue collected from e-visa issued by the security report was not brought to account. A review of the printout submitted by security report showed that 4,827 e-visas were issued in 2023. The escrow bank statement and cash book were, however, not submitted for audit inspection, making it difficult to ascertain the total revenue generated from the issuance of e-visa. Further verification at the immigration department to confirm the number of e-visa issued proved futile, as the immigration department failed to submit the relevant documents. We recommended the following.
Please, at the back side.
We recommended the following. The Chief Immigration Officer should submit the relevant documents to address the anomalies. The SLID should establish and maintain detailed records, process e-visas to facilitate accurate reconciliations with the security report data and revenue estimation. So the official response we received from the immigration was, we are one, a total of 4,872 e-visas were issued as at 31st December 2023, according to the data provided by security report. The department does not have access to the cash book of security report nor the bank at the back end to ascertain the number of e-visas issued by the for the period under review. As against 25th June 2024, security report had paid a total of 7,437,387 into the consolidated fund for which the
what's currency?
New loans 7,434,387 new loans into the consolidated fund for which the department had requested for a bank for a breakdown of payment that includes but not limited to the number of e-visas paid for and for which period. The department also held meeting with the general manager and the accountant of security report requesting access to the back end of their system. So our conclusion were, one, the control surrounding the issuance of e-visa was completely lacking, as the immigration department did not provide independent information relating to the number of e-visas approved for issuance, making it extremely challenging for the audit team to determine the number of e-visas issued during 2023. Consequently, this issue remains unresolved. 2, we noted management response that 7,437,387 new loans was paid into the consolidated fund. However, bank statement and cash book to confirm the payment of this amount into the consolidated fund were not submitted to ASSL. Therefore, the issue remains unresolved. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Firstly, when we go to you, we ask for specific documents. When we summon, before summoning you, we ask for specific documents. Are these documents available? Is it Bati?
All right, good afternoon. My name is Ibrahim Ansere. Some of the documents you requested for, I do have them here, but I just want to go over something real quick. I said some of the documents you requested for, I do have them here with me. The gentleman, I don't know your name, sir, sorry, excuse me. You, Mr. Jallo? Jallo. Okay, the document, let me tell you what the document is. This is the bank statement, the escrow account.
No, we asked for specific documents in the request before we come to the escrow, before we come to the audit issues. We requested, what did you request?
Very good.
Did you receive the letter from the PSC?
I did receive a letter, but it did not specify any document.
No, you use the mic now. You're telling people to use the mic. That is why we want to buy mic. In fact, Chief, my deputy is saying we should buy our own PA systems. PACs are sophisticated. So as we recover monies for you, you need to consider. Yes, sir. So is it the same letter that you received?
I do have the contracts here for the e-visa.
So did you receive that document?
I did.
So what contract did you have?
The e-visa contract. Yes, with the government of Sierra Leone, addendum to, it's the addendum to the contract for the upgrading of the immigration control system. I don't know if that's the same, but here, let me have it.
The addendum to the contract for the upgrade of the immigration control system to the complete integrated biometric control system for the Ministry of Internal Affairs of the Republic of Sierra Leone under the Bill of Plate Transfer Model T that became effective on the 1st March 2012, herein after the agreement is signed between the parties, Secure Report LLC, herein after Secure Report, represented herein by Flores, right?
Yes.
Okay. So where is the agreement?
Yeah.
This one is an addendum.
Okay, the original agreement, I don't have it with me, but I will make that available as soon as possible. Sorry, that was an oversight from my part.
We cannot know whether this one is tenable or not. You see, unlike the immigration issue, we have only agreement. If we don't have the original agreement, we cannot know whether this is tenable. This might be only a piece of document signed between with Flores and Joseph Balablana.
This addendum was signed by the Minister of Internal Affairs.
Yeah, you can sign, but if there is no evidence of a document as Parliament certifies, then this becomes a piece of paper. Like we are saying, that one was a gentleman's agreement. This will now become a gentleman's agreement. If we cannot, because let me tell you what happened. You see, when issues are raised, that is why people may not understand now. Oh, all this report also submit of December, Parliament do nothing. No, we don't just jump into the report. It's a painstaking process. We go, we check what they say, we go and verify with our own records, we look for other information. So before we call people, before we summon people, we should be able to be in a position where we can say we have seen sufficiently that the issues raised by the auditors are good queries or they are queries that we can resolve. For in this instance, we have searched our records. We have turned our library upside down. I will tell you, they have not seen even this one. Not even the original agreement, even this one they don't have. I gave them this. I photocopied this, I gave it to them so that they can locate the original agreement. Even this one they don't have. So in the absence of that, then it means you don't even have the right to operate and collect money for on behalf of selling.
And Chair, in the circumstances still thinks that what he has goes to Parliament. Whenever we ratify an agreement or any loan, it follows with a certificate of ratification. So if you are still thinking that your certificate is tenable, the fact that if you have the presumption that indeed it was brought to Parliament, then please provide us evidence of the certificate of ratification.
From Parliament?
From Parliament, yes. When we ratify, you issue a certificate.
That predates me. I don't have that. I'm not privy to that.
The fact that our records are not leading us to the existence of this agreement, and yet you cannot also prove to us that we did issue a certificate of ratification. What Chair is saying, we are constrained to proceed with our work as to legalizing or validating the job we are doing in collecting revenue on a passport on behalf of government of Australia.
Well, I do know there was a contract signed since 2012. Now,
but do you want me to refer to Section 40 of the Constitution?
I'm not a constitutional scholar, sir.
No, just if you want to.
That's fine.
Yes, it's very instructive. Okay. Whatever agreement that has entered between government and any other party, it only becomes active or effective when it is brought to Parliament for ratification. If it is not, then it's not tenable.
When did you send the letter? When was the letter? The letter was sent. It was dated the 1st of April 2025. By implication, we are giving you more than 14 days. In fact, we are giving you more than the required period. Our standing order says we should give 5 days notice. Isn't that? Our standing order says we should give 5 days notice for request of document for the submission. 7 days, right? 7 days notice for the request for the submission of document. We gave you 14 days. And if you could not locate the certificate, we are not even asking for the agreement now. If you could not locate the certificate of ratification, then I presume you don't have an agreement with the government of Australia.
Exactly.
Well, like I said, this is
I can stop you. I can take a resolution to stop you and stop the collection of the $25 today. I can't.
I paid $100.
Okay.
Yesterday, in fact, I paid $50. Now I'm collecting that money from you.
No, you're not collecting it. I will give you the transaction. I will stop immediately.
Okay. We're talking about two different aspects of the contract here. I thought we were talking about the e-visa connection. Now we're talking about security pass connection.
No, we are talking about security box.
Yes.
You provided this document, right?
That is correct.
This document is an addendum that gives you mandate to collect funds on behalf of the government for the e-visa, right?
Provision of the e-visa, yes.
So, if you are collecting on either, what you want to ascertain is the e-visa and the security box. Do we have a contract ratified by Parliament? If yes, do we have the contract? Because I have checked. I'm telling you, I have checked in our library. The only thing we have there is for Next Village and for Westminster. I showed you Westminster when I went there, right? You went to my office. Those are the two that they have seen and they want to. Security reports we have not seen. So, in the abundance of caution, we don't want to conclude that yes, indeed, we don't have an agreement. That was why when we are writing to you, when we are summoning you, we requested in 14 days that you bring to us evidence of the contract signed between you, both for the security report, the security arrangement, and the e-visa. You bring the contract so that we can see, we can verify that yes, this parliament, whether it was this fifth parliament, the third parliament, the second parliament, actually ratified this contract.
I'm not privy to that information. I've not seen that document as far as the ratification.
So
I'm not saying.
Who called you to come?
I'm not saying it doesn't exist.
No, who called you to come?
I was called to come and represent Security Report because I'm the general manager. I've seen this position about a year ago.
Did you not see our letter? Did you receive that letter?
I think I did receive that letter.
So you should not take, you have to be sure. I will not take, I think.
Well, I'm on that oath. I want to be careful what I'm saying.
No, you cannot be careful. So if you are thinking, then how did you come here?
Okay, I did receive the letter.
Very well. Very well. Now we are on the same page. So, on what mandate you are collecting monies from this agreement?
Well, the mandate is based on the contractual agreement we had with the government through the immigration department. Those contracts I have. Now you're talking about ratification by parliament. That I'm not privy to that. The one I've seen since I've been here, that contract stays between since 2012. Security Report has a contract with the government through the immigration department.
It was not ratified by parliament.
I haven't seen the ratification.
So they have powers to negotiate, yes, of course. They have powers to negotiate. They have powers to negotiate, but their negotiation can only be valid when it receives the seal of approval by parliament. Yes. Because that's what section 40, subsection 4 says. And even the president, whosoever entered into any agreement on behalf of CLU, treaties, agreement, or whatnot, when the president signs on behalf of the government of CLU and brings such agreements to CLU, those agreements, they are not valid until they are ratified by parliament. They can only be binding. Yes. We have the constitution. Read subsection 4, section 40. That's what it says. Even the president, the most powerful man, when he signs up on anything, that document is not valid until parliament says yes. Yes. Why is it that you think that the Ministry of Finance will be rushing with their loan agreements with the IMF? And in fact, the IMF makes it a condition because they know that we cannot make any disbursement under this particular agreement until we see, not until it is only ratified, until we see a certificate of ratification from parliament. You have the constitution. Read subsection 4 of section 40.
Traits, notwithstanding any provision of this constitution.
See the first word. Say notwithstanding any provision. Continue.
Of this constitution or any other law. To the contrary, the president shall, without prejudice to any short law as may for the time being be adopted by parliament, be responsible in addition to the functions conferred upon him in the Constitution. For A, all constitutional matters concerning legislation. B, relations with foreign states. C, the reception of convoys accredited to Sierra Leone and the appointment of principal representatives of Sierra Leone abroad. D, the execution of treaties, agreements, or conventions in the name of Sierra Leone. E, the exercise of the prerogative of mercy. F, the grant of honors and awards. G, the declaration of war. And H, short other matters as may be referred to the president by parliament, provided that any treaty, agreement, or convention executed by or under the authority of the president, which relates to the matter within the legislative competence of parliament, or which in any way alters the law of Sierra Leone, or imposes any charge on authorities, authorizes any expenditure out of the consolidated fund, or any other fund of Sierra Leone, and any declaration of war made by the president shall, by subject of resolution by parliament, ratification by parliament.
It's a child, it's a must. So if the president, the most powerful individual in the country, is asked and told by this constitution that it doesn't matter what you do, all of these powers, including saying Sierra Leone should go to war, you cannot do that without the ratification of parliament. So that was why we requested that you bring to us what was ratified by parliament. You want us to give you more time for us to compare on this issue so that you go back and check properly. You see, the Quran says when the world will come to an end, on that day, Allah would have taken everybody on the face of this earth would have passed on. Everybody, it will remain two people, Allah himself and Macabots. And he will ask him to go and look for life. He will go around the world, he will check everywhere and come back. He said, go and check again. He will go and check, he will check 3 times. And when he comes, he says, yes, there is one more life, it's yours. Right. Himself, he will cry, he knows what he was doing. He knows it was a bad thing. So days is done. So we can give you more time to watch.
I appreciate that. I think that would be the best thing to do.
No, the implication is, I will give you time to go and check. If you come back without an agreement ratified by parliament, the implications to that are diverse. A, we can decide to ask for a compensation of all what you have collected and reimbursed the government of Sierra Leone. That is A. B, we can leave that and stop the execution of the contract at this point until it is brought to Parliament and ratified by the people's representatives. C, which we are going to do in the course of this exercise. I don't want to say what the auditors queried and noted in the report is true, but if for any reason it is true, the escrow account by the end of the session should be jointly monitored by both parties. In fact, there is no going to be an escrow account without an agreement. So I would say nay, and I would invoke, and I would ask. I wanted to invoke SO 75. So what I will do is this. I may not have the powers to suspend any provision in the Constitution. Neither of us, all of us, even if we agree, we cannot. So, in view of that, I cannot override section 103 of the Constitution. It says you should report exactly what transpires in the committee. But however, I am withdrawing my initial comments until my initial comments on the actions that will come thereafter. Not what has transpired, though, just my line of what will happen should. Because it's peradventure, I don't want it to be conclusive. Should there be no ratified agreement, those lines I am withdrawing. The rest of what transpires, you can report in line with section 103. Wow. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
For everybody?
Yes, sir. Very
well. So, CIO, how long do you want us to give secure reports? It's your domain. We are not even going to talk about the matters raised now. It's going to be holistic because for you to collect, you must have data. So, immigration, you want 2 minutes to go and hang it. You want 2 minutes to go and hang it. 2 weeks, calculate 2 weeks for me from now. Is it inclusive of the holidays? Or you want it to exclusive of the holidays? So calculate the holidays and see whether it is above 2 weeks and add the holidays and give us a calculation. I have been mathematics on site.
Can I just say something, sir, to the committee? We are all Sierra-Leoneans. Let's be very careful. The services that Security Board provides will bring that ratification, but there are a lot of national security implications here. So we have to be very careful. That is all I have to say. Thank you.
Can I also caution you, right at this moment, that what you said amounts to pets. Hold on. What you said amounts to pets. And nobody has taken any action to stop the services that you are providing. Nobody has taken any decision to say whether Secure Report is doing an activity that is not sanctioned or not. So I would encourage you to allow the Constitution of Sierra Leone to take its rightful place. If you look section 170 of the Constitution, you see the Constitution is jealous. It said the laws of Sierra Leone shall comprise of one. Say the Constitution. Say this Constitution enforce. So allow the Constitution to reign. Section 103 of the Constitution protects the freedom of them and the press. No standing order can overrule that. No standing order can overrule that. So what we are saying here is, we want you to go and have time, put your act. We've been in 2 weeks already. You could not bring it. It is my fervent belief that we cannot find it here. But somehow you can find it. And the ethics are visible. Why not? So for now, what is said here is already in public. The audit report is a public document. The audit report has noted that you are collecting e-visa, paid into an escrow account, and the immigration department did not have access to that escrow account, and you're giving them token of what you think they deserve. That is what the audit report says. And we are not saying it is true or not. It is to be proven by us, you and I, whether it is true or not. But the document before me is a public document. And that besides, every Sierra Leonean is aware of what Secure Report is doing at the airport and appreciate its sensitivity to our national security. However, whatever that service is, cannot undermine the integrity of Parliament. Cannot undermine the integrity of Parliament. And by the way, Section 40 is an intent clause of the Constitution. So you cannot waiver that. So I would encourage you to take the 2 weeks that you have agreed to, you go and verify, and after the 2 weeks, what's the date? And after the 2 weeks, we can reconvene and discuss all of the issues. Is that fair?
Would you want to? Okay, maybe let me just make sure of my.
Can I utilize SO42 and put an end to the conversation until we complete?
Yes, whilst we respect your ruling, Mr. Chair, I just want to make this one again very much clear. It's unfortunate that the witness had to really mention about it. Especially so when we are merely doing our work. But if you perceive us calling in here for questioning for revenue generated fund on behalf of this country, and then you fail to account for it, you consider that as a threat, then indeed we accept it so. But that's not the case. But what I want to establish here is the fact that we have to have a conversation about how government is losing some of its potential revenue sources. We are talking about e-visas in here. I'm only in the security aspect constant. But e-visas all over the world, the immigration should be competent enough to be able to issue land visas as the case may be. I see no reason why we should be outsourcing some of these services. They have the personnel, just like the passports we are seeing here. Almost 90% of the work is being done by them. Not giving them the fair value of the work of the service they are rendering is in itself a loss to government revenue. Clearly so, when government will have to pay all salaries, will have to run these offices that these service providers are using. So I want to think that I do believe in the competence of the CIO we now have, considering his past track record at the civil aviation, which of course was one of the enviable government entities. I know he would look into this matter to see how, because you have staff in the department, in your department, that are in charge of these e-visas or multilateral or whatsoever, you know how you call them. Government is paying them. Why is government paying them when they are not rendering the service? So going forward, Mr. Chair, I'm of opinion, much as security is very important, and having a third party to also complement our security, but e-visas, trust me, even if I consider this pen as visa, it depends to what I consider as a visa. In some other countries, when you go, they just stamp on your passport. It's visa. So why should you outsource that component? And then, worst of it, nothing is even coming to you in return. I consider that as a complete ploy to deprive government of the much needed resources. So I want to submit that the new CIO considers for a review on this particular aspect of e-visas, whilst the security component constant.
Yes.
I take you as the last contribution. Otherwise, I go also for
if I was still a journalist tomorrow, my headlines would be security report threatens parliament. Simple. So
I should not see that headline in any paper.
So my first one is to the chairman that you withdraw. That's very, very statement made. Can you withdraw it?
All right, that was what I was going to say. My statement was not a threat. It was misconstrued. I was just making,
No, can you just withdraw it first?
Well, it's been withdrawn. Thank you. My apologies. And then, sir, Mr. Auditor, when you say government is not, immigration is not getting nothing from the e-visa,
Can I also caution you? Can I also caution you? See, let's say two things. First, we may not know what immigration should benefit without an agreement that is showing a sharing module. So whatever immigration is getting, for now, we have said we are going to give you 2 weeks to put that together. Let them go and put their dashboard together. The agreement should tell us, because this paper is saying it's an amendment to one document. That document and this document and the agreement with security reports, all of it will tell us the scope of your work. And we can be able to determine whether they are getting money and what they are getting is the fair share of what is indicated in the contract. So we cannot determine that off air. That is one. The other aspect is the document you are asking for. They are neither nor injurious to the security of serving.
No.
The certificate of ratification is a public document. It is not a security document. And the freedom so stated in section 103 is also protected in section 25, 1 and 2. So whatever they say is guided by that. If they go outside that, then we'll take them to the Bar of Parliament. They will apologize and they will retract their statement. And the hardest part, the most difficult part of the journalist's work is for the journalists to retract publicly. So I know and they understand their responsibility. So they rest assured that everything is under control. So on that note, having done the calculation, excluding weekends and holidays, security reports, immigration department, and Ministry of Internal Affairs, you should appear before the committee on the 8th of May 2025 at 11 a.m. prompt. I hope May 8th is not on Tuesday or Thursday. Have you checked that? So you appear on the 7th of May 2025 at 11 a.m. prompt. So security reports you are in leave. Immigration is still continue the rest of the correspondence. So we have 2 more issues left. Did all the witnesses sign the attendance register?
Yes, they all sign. I mean, I know. They all sign. Questionnaire.
Challenges at Gendema and Balabia border crossing points. The following challenges were identified at the border crossing points. 1. The Balabia and Gendema border crossing points.
Can I hold you there? And can I ask the committee that to give the new CIO time to go and see and go through this place? And when they return on the 7th, we can now continue with the rest of the issues. Because if you tell him now about Gendema and Balamoya, he needs to tell us strategies, how he intends to control and improve revenue generation for those crossing points. And as he sits now, he has barely entered the office. So we need times to go and sit and settle. So I want to ask the committee that we give him up until the 7th, together with secure reports, to come back, because they are not financial issues. Mostly they are compliance issues, staff not available for physical work. If you now want to handle them complaints, we'll ask for them. We don't come, we'll ask you to sack them. We'll ask you to stop their salaries. But for the other issue that are compliance issue, operational inefficiency in the e-visa system, that also requires secure reports. So I would ask that to give him time to go and study these reports. They are on page 193 on to page 195. Study it well, and by the 7th, I'm sure you will come with this strategy as to how we can help you to move forward. Is that a consensus? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. CIO, do you want to say something before you go?
Just to thank the chairman and the committee for that thoughtful consideration. And I will oblige by your directives to go back and read those comments from the auditors. And then by the time we come back on the 7th, I will be in better position to share with you some of the strategies that we want to use to address some of those concerns. Thank you very much.
I want to thank the CIO and his team, and I want to thank members of the Public Account Committee. We are going for the holidays, and I'm sure we may not have to reconvene maybe until the 1st of May, right? Yeah, May 1 is holiday also. Because the holidays is going to be a long period. We are going to go in first for the Easter break, and we are going to work for 2 days or so. And we go for the independence break. I pray I'm going to my forefathers in Tonko, so that my name appears this time around in the list of honors of His Excellency the President. So by the time I come next, I will be addressed not only as Deputy Speaker, but maybe as Commander Order of the Republic. I did not say I'm going to give you that too. I am just praying. I'm going to tell my forefathers in Tonko so that they can help me as my aspiration comes to. I wish you a pleasant holidays. Enjoy and enjoy responsibly. Thank you.